Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual Dirshu. Mr. Berurah is here. My apologies for the lateness of the hour. I got caught up with some things that couldn't wait, so share got postponed a little bit. I hope you'll still be able to watch the share tonight. If not, you know the address. It's here on the web, so we can always catch up with it later. So we are holding today in Mishnah Berurah Chelik Hey. Today's daf in the Dirshu Daf HaYomi Bahalacha is Tzadik Ches Amud Aleph. We're continuing to learn Hilchos Pesach. We are holding in Siman Taf Tzadik, and we are beginning today with Siv Zayin on the top line of Tzadik Ches Amud Aleph. Says the Mechaber, Baleil Yom Tov Ha'achron, on the night of the last day of Yom Tov, and like the Chavetz Chaim is going to point out, this doesn't mean only the night of Achron. It means both the night of Shvi Shal Pesach and the night of Achron Shal Pesach. Mekadshin al Hayayin, we make Kiddush over wine, and the Chavetz Chaim is going to tell us that this is referring to Kiddush in Shul. So the Mechaber is telling us that both on the night of Shvi Shal Pesach and the night of Achron Shal Pesach, we make Kiddush al Hayayin, we make Kiddush on wine in the Beis HaKnesses, ve'ein oimrim zman. However, we do not make the bracha of HaYomi. Let's take a look at the Mishnah Berurah. Ois Katan Yud Aleph, Baleil Yom Tov Ha'achron, says the Chavetz Chaim, Bein B'Shvi, Bein B'Shmini. We're discussing over here both the night of Shvi Shal Pesach and Achron Shal Pesach. Ois Katan Yud Beis, Mekachin Al Hayayin. We make Kiddush over wine, Ritzayin Loymar, Bebeis HaKnesses. The Mechaber is telling us here the halacha of what we do in Shul. He's not telling us that when we go home to our Yom Tov Suda, we make Kiddush. There would be no need for the Mechaber to tell us that. It would be out of place. This is not where the Mechaber is discussing the halachas of the Suda of Yom Tov. He's discussing here the davening. Let's remember, this Siman was called Seder Tfilas Yom Sheni, with Tfilas Chol HaMoed. So we're talking about the Seder of the Tfilah. So in Shul, the Mechaber is telling us we make Kiddush. V'kavanasai. And the reason why the Mechaber has to point this out to us, why does the Mechaber have to tell us that on those two particular nights of Yom Tov we make Kiddush in Shul? We always make Kiddush in Shul, Friday night, Yom Tov night. So why is he telling us here? Why is he making the point here? The Kavanasai, the intent of the Mechaber in telling us this halacha over here by Shvi and Achron Shal Pesach is even though on the first two nights of Pesach we said earlier you do not make Kiddush in Shul. Va'atam, and the reason is because like we explained previously, for the first two nights of Yom Tov, the tzibur is mechuyev to give every ani enough money for wine so that he should have yayin for the daled kaisais. So why should we make Kiddush in Shul? The whole reason we make Kiddush in Shul Friday night and Yom Tov night is because of aniyim who don't have wine. They're not going to have Kiddush. So we might see them in Kiddush in the Beis HaKnesses. But on the first two nights of Pesach, we don't need that, because then all the aniyim, we give them yayin for the daled kaisais. So we don't need to make Kiddush. So therefore, the Mechaber is pointing out that is the halacha on the first two nights of Pesach when we give it on the yayin. But by Shvi Shal Pesach and Achron Shal Pesach, there is no such halacha that you have to supply an ani with yayin. Therefore, we have to make Kiddush for them in Shul. Ois Katan Yud Gimel, Ve'ein Oimrim Zman. However, we do not make a HaYomi by the Kiddush by Shvi Shal Pesach and Achron Shal Pesach. What does this mean, Zman? Hainu HaYomi. Of course, we're referring to the bracha of HaYomi. Why don't we make a HaYomi on Shvi Shal Pesach and Achron Shal Pesach? She'enoi regel b'fnei atzmai. Because Shvi Shal Pesach and by extension Achron Shal Pesach are not their own independent Yomim Tovim. It's not a new Yom Tov when we come to the last day of Pesach. You see, on Sukkot, what we colloquially call the second days of Sukkot is not really the second days of Sukkot. It's Shmini Atzeres. It's a separate Yom Tov. First, we have the Yom Tov of Sukkot, then we have the Yom Tov of Shmini Atzeres. So the last 2 days of Sukkot, right, Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah, those are a new Yom Tov. So we have to make a new HaYomi. We make a bracha to the Rabbeinu Shalom, HaYomi v'kiyamanu v'giyanu lazman hazeh, that he supported us and allowed us to reach this new significant time of the Yom Tov of Shmini Atzeres. But on Pesach, Shvi Shal Pesach is not a new Yom Tov. It's the 7th day of Pesach. We already made a HaYomi on Pesach. So we're not going to make another HaYomi on Pesach now. There's an interesting footnote over here, Dirshu footnote number 13. I just found this a very interesting concept. He brings down over here, Vimta ubirech shehechiyanu. Let's say you made a shehechiyanu by Kiddush on Shvi Shal Pesach or Shmini Shal Pesach. Is that a hefsek? We know you're not allowed to be mafsik. You're not allowed to have an interruption between when you make the bracha and when you drink the yayin. So if you made a shehechiyanu when you weren't supposed to make a shehechiyanu, that means you completed the Kiddush, and now you are mafsik with the shehechiyanu before you drank the yayin. Is that considered a hefsek? Is that a problem? So it says over here in Dirshu footnote 13, Vimta ubirech shehechiyanu. If you goofed and you made a shehechiyanu when you were not supposed to, Hayra Hagayin Reb Shlomo Zalman Arbach Zatzal, she'einoi nechshav lehefsek bein hakiddush l'shtiyas hayayin. So Reb Shlomo Zalman Zechet Tzadik V'Kadosh L'Vracha ruled that the shehechiyanu is not a hefsek between the kiddush and the shtiyas hayayin. Why? Kevan sha'geder shel hefsek bein habracha l'shtiyah. The whole problem, what's the issue of being mafsik between kiddush and the drinking of the yayin? Hu misham hesach hadas. The problem is not really a time delay. The problem is that you are meisiach das. By being mafsik, that means that your attention was drawn away from the kiddush onto something else. So now you're going to go to drink the yayin, but you already had a hesach hadas between the kiddush and the shtiyas yayin. So therefore, Rosh Shlomo Zalman says, over here you don't have a problem of hesach hadas. When you made the shehechiyanu on Shvi Shal Pesach or Shmini Shal Pesach, you said the shehechiyanu because you thought you had a chiyuv to make a shehechiyanu. You thought that the shehechiyanu was a chelik of tonight's kiddush. So that's not a hesach hadas. You never took your mind off making kiddush. You were busy making kiddush. The only thing is you said a part of kiddush that didn't have to be said. But that's not a hesach hadas. Ein kan hesach hadas. So there's no hesach hadas here, and it's not a problem of a hefsek. Now we have an interesting halacha. So we're in Mishnah Berurah is cut in Yud Gimel. In my Mishnah Berurah, it's in the middle of the first wide line of the Mishnah Berurah. Mila kishachal b'shvi shal Pesach oy b'shmini. Let's say somebody is making a bris in shul, either on Shvi Shal Pesach or on Achron Shal Pesach. Aimrim yoim liyabasha nepchu mitzulim kaidem gal Yisrael. We know that there is a minig, and in a lot of kehillas, they say what we call the yotzreis. These are beautiful piyutim that are inserted both within the brachas of Brichas Kriyashma, as well as within the brachas of the Chazaras Hashatz. So, if somebody is making a bris milah on Shvi Shal Pesach or Achron Shal Pesach, the Chavetz Chaim tells us over here that they say the piyut of Yom Liyabasha Nepchu Mitzulim in the Yitzris of Berchas Kriyashma, where right before the last bracha of Berchas Kriyashma, right before you say Baruch Atah Hashem Gal Yisrael, before Shemona Esrei, they would say the piyut of Yom Liyabasha. Now, the piyut of Yom Liyabasha is really a reference to Krias Yamsuf. It's a song of Shira about Krias Yamsuf. It starts off Yom Liyabasha Nepchu Mitzulim. Yom, the day, Liyabasha Nepchu Mitzulim, when the depths, the Mitzulim, the depths of the Yam were changed over Nepchu to Yabasha, when the sea was turned to dry land. Shira Chadasha Shibchu Geulim. On that day, the Geulim, the ones that were saved, the Klal Yisrael, they sang a Shira Chadasha. So this beautiful piyut of Yom Liyabasha was composed as a shira about Krias Yamsuf, and therefore it was inserted into the Yitzrais on Shvi Shal Pesach. What the Mishnah Berurah is telling me here is that Yom Liyabasha is always said in the Yitzrais on Shvi Shal Pesach, but it is not typically said in the Yitzrais on Achron Shal Pesach. Therefore, it says the Mishnah Berurah that when somebody's making a bris milah, even on Achron, even on Shmini, they would say Yom Liyabasha in the Yitzrais, even on Shmini, in commemoration of the bris milah. Now, what does this piyut of Yom Liyabasha have to do with bris milah? So for that, we have to look into the 5th stanza and the 7th stanza of Yom Liyabasha. In the 5th stanza, it says, Haboim imcha, those who come together with you, Rabbeinu Shalom, bibris chaysamcha, in the seal of your bris. What bris is that referring to? That's referring to bris milah. So this stanza is singing about Klal Yisrael who join with the Rabbeinu Shalom in a bris by the bris milah. That's the 5th stanza. And in the 7th stanza, it says, Lemi zois nir shemes. For who is the Torah marked? Haker no dvar emes, lemi achisemes, or lemi apsilim. Lemi achisemes. To who is the seal? What seal are we talking about? We're talking about the Rabbeinu Shalom seal that is in our guf. The Rabbeinu Shalom sealed our guf with a bris milah. So in Yom Liyabasha, we have references to bris milah, and therefore, if there's a bris on Shvi Shal Pesach, so you always say Yom Liyabasha. If there's a bris on Achron Shal Pesach, you also insert Yom Liyabasha into the Yitzros. Vim Chal b'Shabbos. If the bris is on Shabbos, Aimrim Kaidnim Shira Chadasha, then you would insert Yom Liyabasha before you say Shira Chadasha in Berurah Kriyashma. Mishum she'aznai hagin loimer apiyut shel brach daidi kaidnim gal Yisrael. Because on Shabbos we have a different piyut that we say before Baruch Atah Hashem gal Yisrael. We have the piyut of brach daidi. So when are we going to say Yom Liyabasha? We'll say Yom Liyabasha before the words Shira Chadasha. Masha ein kain b'shar Yom Tov. This is different than other Yomim Tovim. De'ein oimrim Yom Liyabasha machmas milah, ela in kain kishachalu b'Shabbos. On other Yomim Tovim, you do not insert Yom Liyabasha into the Yitzrais unless it also happens to be Shabbos. Why? What's the difference? So what the Magen Avram, I believe, in the name of the Levush, says is that on Shabbos, there's a reason why you should insert the piyut of Yom Liyabasha in order to sing about bris milah. Why? Because on Shabbos, the greatness of bris milah is very boilet. It sticks out. Why? Because bris milah involves doing malacha on Shabbos. You're a chayvel. You're causing a wound when you make a bris milah. And yet, bris milah is so great that it's Teicha Shabbos. So since we see the greatness of bris milah on Shabbos because it's Teicha Shabbos, so we sing Yom Liyabasha on Shabbos in commemoration to show the greatness of bris milah. Also, when bris milah falls out on Shvi Shal Pesach, we're going to sing Yom Liyabasha anyway because of krias Yamsuf. And when it falls out on Shmini Shal Pesach, we also say Yom Liyabasha. But if it falls out on a different Yom Tov, let's say somebody's making a bris on Shavuos, then we don't sing Yom Liyabasha in the Yitzrais. Why? Because on a regular Yom Tov, there really is no reason to sing about the greatness of bris milah because you're not really seeing the greatness of bris milah. What's the greatness of bris milah on Yom Tov? The fact that bris milah is doicha Yom Tov? That's not such a big thing. After all, milah is a mitzvah sheyesh by kares. If somebody doesn't get a bris milah, chas v'chalila, he's going to be chayiv kares. Yom Tov, malacha on Yom Tov is only in Isalav. So for that, we don't really see the greatness of Shabbos. What? That milah is doicha Yom Tov? That's not such an unbelievable thing that milah should be doicha Yom Tov. The malacha on Yom Tov is only in Isalav. So there's no reason to go ahead and sing the praises of Shabbos of Yom Liyabasha. Oid Kasav, it's also brought down, says the Mishnah Berurah, Timchal Yom Shvi b'Shabbos, that if the 7th day of Pesach, Shvi Shal Pesach, falls out on Shabbos. Now, if Shvi Shal Pesach falls out on Shabbos, that means that there is no Shabbos Chol HaMoed. So, says the Mishnah Berurah, if Shvi Shal Pesach falls out on Shabbos, so that there was no Shabbos Chol HaMoed, Aimrim b'Yotzer, then we insert into the Yitzrais, HaPiyutim Shal Shabbos Chol HaMoed. We insert into the Yitzrais of Berurah Kriyashma the piyutim that we normally would say on Shabbos Chol HaMoed. Because now on Shvi Shal Pesach, which is Shabbos, we're going to lay Shir Hashirim. And the normal piyutim of Shabbos Chol HaMoed that we say in Berurah Kriyashma, those piyutim are established over Shir Hashirim. They have to do with the psukim of Shir Hashirim. So now that there is no Shabbos Chol HaMoed, we say those Yitzros instead on Shvi Shal Pesach that falls out on Shabbos. And similarly, if Achron Shal Pesach falls out on Shabbos, again, we say the piyutim during Berurah Kriyashma that we would normally say on Shabbos Chol HaMoed. And then by the Yitzros of Chazaras Hashatz, we flip the 7th day and the 8th day. On Shvi Shal Pesach, we say the piyutim we would normally say on Shmini, and on Shmini Shal Pesach that falls out on Shabbos, we say the piyutim we would normally say on Shvi. The reason for this has to do with the composer of the piyutim. I'm not going to go into it right now. Okay. Now we go to the Mishnah Berurah Sif Ches. Maftirin b'yoyim Shvi, the HaTorah for Shvi Shal Pesach is Vayedaber David, that Shmuel Beis, and it's Perek Chav Beis, Pasuk Aleph, and this is what we call Shiras David. This is a beautiful shira that David HaMelech wrote over all of the salvations that he experienced during his lifetime, all of his travails, all of his struggles, and how the Rebbeinu Shalom consistently saved him from every tzara that he had. So on Shvi Shal Pesach, when we celebrate Krias Yamsuf and we lane the Shira of Az Yashir, it's very appropriate for us to lane as a HaTorah Shiras David. Uviyayim Shmini, and on Shmini Shal Pesach we lane for the HaTorah Oid HaYomi B'noiv Lamoid. Now that HaTorah, which is in Yeshaya, refers to another two salvations of Klal Yisrael. One is the famous story of the Atzamais Yeveshais, the Tchias HaMesim, that the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to make Lasad Lavai is discussed over there. And also the salvation from the army of Sancheriv is also mentioned over there. And that's, we lane that on Achra and Shal Pesach. We're laying about Tchias HaMesim because it's brought down that Tchias HaMesim is going to occur in Nisan. And we lane about the salvation from Sancheriv's army because it's brought down that Sancheriv's army was destroyed on Pesach night. Okay. Says, no Mishnah Berurah. Now we go to Sif Tes. Shabbos Chol HaMoed. Shabbos of Chol HaMoed. Shabbos Chol HaMoed. Arvis Shachris Umincha. Ma'ariv Friday night. Shachris Shabbos morning and Mincha Shabbos afternoon. Mispalel Kedarko Shel Shabbos. You daven the regular Shabbos davenings. V'aymer Yalav Yavai Ba'avoida. But you have to mention Me'ein HaMa'ura. So you insert Yalav Yavai into those tefillos. Uve Musif, but by Musif, Aymer say the Musaf Yom Chol HaMoed. You don't say the regular Shabbos Musaf, you say the Shalosh Regalim Musaf. You say the regular Musaf that you would say on Chol HaMoed. That means that for when you say the Psukim of the Musafin, you say the Parsha of V'hikraftem, just like on Chol HaMoed. Ella, Shemazkir Shel Shabbos, you do have to mention Shabbos in the Musaf Shmoneh Esrei. And for instance, for Aymer, you say, V'atitad lanu es Yom HaManoach hazeh. We thank the Rebbeinu Shalom that he gave us this day of rest. Of course, we don't say Yom HaManoach, we say Yom HaShabbos hazeh. V'yom Chag HaMatzos hazeh. V'chein Omer. And similarly, when we get to the Psukim of the Musafim, we say as Musvei Yom HaManoach hazeh v'yom Chag HaMatzos hazeh. We discuss the Musafim, we say Musvei, plural, the Musafim of Shabbos and of Yom Tov. The Chaisim, and we close off the bracha, Mekadesh HaShabbos v'Yisrael v'Azmanim. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Ois Kat Yodalit Umaftirin Hoisa Alai. Did I say that? No, I'm sorry, I didn't say that yet. Continues the Mechaber Umaftirin, and as far as the HaTorah of Shabbos Chol HaMoed, the HaTorah is Hoisa Alai. I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier in the Sif. I see now in the Mishnah Berurah over here, Mishnah Berurah is cutting your dollar. It says, "Maftir and Hoisa Alai." On Shabbos Chol HaMoed, we lay the HaTorah of Hoisa Alai. Ha'amur le'inyan Tchias HaMesim. That's the HaTorah that speaks about the Atzamis Yeveshais, the dried bones. That's the HaTorah of Tchias HaMesim. V'atam, and the reason we lay that on Shabbos Chol HaMoed is because ki Tchias HaMesim yehei b'Nisan, because it's brought down that Tchias HaMesim will occur in Nisan. V'goygu Magog b'Tishrei, and the Melchemes Goygu Magog will happen in Tishrei. Al Kain Maftirin b'Nisan ha'atzamis ha'yeveshos. That's where in Nisan we lay this HaTorah of Hoisa Alai from Yecheskel that talks about the atzamis yeveshos. Over Tishrei and on Sukkot b'Yom Goyg we lay the HaTorah of Goygu Magog because the Melchemes Goygu Magog will be in Tishrei, which is when Sukkot is. I misspoke earlier. Earlier I spoke about the HaTorah of Shmini Shal Pesach, and I said that Shmini Shal Pesach we lay in Oid HaYomi B'noiv Lamoid. That HaTorah does not talk about Tchias HaMesim. My apologies. That HaTorah talks about Sancheriv, and it talks about the Geula Shlema La'asad Lavai. That's why we learn on Shmini Shel Pesach, because of Sancheriv, which happened on Pesach, and because at the end of Pesach we want to discuss the Geula Shlema La'asad Lavai. It should come b'Meher V'Yameinu. Okay. Now we go weiter in the Ramah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 lines from the bottom of the Shulchan Aruch. Haga, says the Ramah, Ve'ein maskirin beberkas HaTorah lePesach, when we're laning the HaTorah, we're making the brachas of the HaTorah on Shabbos Chol HaMoed, we do not mention Pesach. Loi be'emtza v'loi b'chasima. At no point in the brachas of the HaTorah on Shabbos Chol HaMoed do we say Es Yom HaPesach Hazeh, nor do we say at the end of the brachas Mekadesh HaShabbos v'Yisrael v'Azmanim. We just say Mekadesh HaShabbos. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. It's cut in Tezvav. Vein Mazkirin, we don't mention Pesach in the brachas of the HaTorah on Shabbos Chol HaMoed of Pesach. The Shabbos Chol HaMoed Pesach, because on Shabbos Chol HaMoed of Pesach ain't HaTorah ba elo b'shvil Shabbos b'vad. The only reason we're laning a HaTorah on Shabbos Chol HaMoed of Pesach is because of Shabbos. On a regular day of Chol HaMoed Pesach, there is no HaTorah. So why is there a HaTorah on Shabbos Chol HaMoed? Because of Shabbos. So we make the brachas of the HaTorah, we don't mention Pesach, we only mention Shabbos. Sharein maftir menavi b'sharim Chol HaMoed. Lefika chayim brachas HaTorah k'bay b'shar Shabbos es Hashem. Tazayin v'loy b'chasima. We don't mention Pesach not in the middle of the brachas HaTorah and not at the chasima of the brachas HaTorah. What does that mean, the chasima? We don't end off the brachas of the HaTorah by saying Mekadesh HaShabbos v'Yisrael v'Azmanim. We just say Mekadesh HaShabbos. Because to Achrayim, however, there are Achrayim that do write the b'Shabbos Chol HaMoed Sukkos Messiah Mekadesh HaShabbos v'Yisrael v'Azmanim. There are Achrayim that say that on Shabbos Chol HaMoed of Sukkos you do say Mekadesh HaShabbos v'Yisrael v'Azmanim. V'chein maskir shel sukkos be'emtza bracha. And you also mention Sukkos in the middle of the Berurah HaTorah on Shabbos Chol HaMoed of Sukkos, maybe on the Rishon Shel Sukkos. V'atam, why is this? Shekol yom v'yom Chol HaMoed Sukkos hu k'moed mifnei atzmai. The Mishnah Berurah says the reason for this would be because there are shittas that hold that every day of Chol HaMoed Sukkos is like a new Yom Tov. It's not an extension of the rest of Sukkos. It's a new Yom Tov. Why? Mishum dechalukin bekarbanos hamusafin. Because we know that the Karban Musaf changes from day to day throughout Chol HaMoed Sukkos, and therefore, to a certain extent, each day is like an independent Yom Tov. Continues the Ramah by the Ice Cut and Yud Zayin for the Mishnah Berurah. V'nayhagen loimer shir hashirim b'Shabbos Chol HaMoed. The minig is for us to lane shir hashirim on Shabbos Chol HaMoed of Pesach. V'emchal Shabbos b'Yom Tov ha'achrain, and if there is no Shabbos Chol HaMoed, if Shabbos falls out on the last 2 days of one of the last 2 days of Pesach, then you lane shir hashirim on that day. The chen adin b'Sukkos im koheles, and the din is likewise on Sukkos when you have to lane koheles. Minay hagid leimer rus b'Shvuos, and the minig is to lane rus on Shvuos. V'ha'am na'agu shaloi levarach aleim al mikra megillah v'loi al mikra ksuvim, and the minig is that we do not make a bracha of al mikra megillah or of al mikra kesuvim when we lane these megillas, when we lane shir hashirim, when we lane koheles, when we lane rus. We don't make a bracha on these megillas, not al mikra megillah and not al mikra kesuvim. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Ice cotton yud zayin. V'nayhagen loimer shir hashirim. The minig is to lane shir hashirim on Shabbos Chol HaMoed of Pesach. Why? Mipnei shemefurish by inyan Yitzias Mitzrayim. Because shir hashirim discusses Yitzias Mitzrayim. Ubesukkos koheles, and on Sukkos we lane koheles. Why? Mipnei, very interesting reason. Mipnei shehem yemei simcha, because we know that Sukkos is an exceptionally happy Yom Tov. That's when we sing v'samachta b'chagecha v'yisach sameach. So there's a tremendous simcha on Sukkos. What does that have to do with laning koheles? Uksiv b'koheles, and it says in koheles ulesimcha mazay oisa. Shlomo HaMelech in koheles says, I said about simcha, mazay oisa. What do you do? What do you accomplish? What are you worth? So on Sukkos, when we're exceptionally besimcha, we have to remind ourselves not to go overboard with simcha, and to remember that simcha is not an end unto itself. Simcha, we're misamech on Sukkos, a simcha shal mitzvah. We have to remember to keep simcha in its place. So we learn koheles. The Rus b'Shvuos. Why do we lay Rus on Shvuos? The Issa b'Yalkut Rus, because it's brought down in the Midrashim on Rus. Ma inyan Rus eitzel atzeres. What does the laying of Rus have to do with Shvuos? Shenikreis bizman matan Torah. Why is it laying on Shvuos of the Zman matan Torah? L'lamedcha, to teach you shaloi nitna Torah ela al yidei yisurin va'oini. To remind ourselves, how did Rus come close to Torah? Rus had to go through a difficult time first. Rus and the Ami, they came back to Eretz Yisrael. They experienced poverty. She had to go collect matnas aniyim. It wasn't simple. There was suffering involved. Let's remember that the Torah Akdosha was given in a midbar. Why was the Torah Akdosha given in a midbar? To tell you that in order to be kind of the Torah, you have to be willing to have Mesiras Nefesh. Now, this doesn't mean over here that we're celebrating Mesiras Nefesh and we're telling you that the only way you're going to get Torah is by suffering. No, that's not what it means. But what it does mean is that you have to be willing. What does it mean you have to be willing? You have to realize the priority, the tremendous priority of Torah. You have to be makshiv Torah to the extent that you're going to do whatever it takes to be kind of Torah, even if you have to put yourself through a period of deprivation and suffering. In order to be kind of Torah, you have to be willing, at least, to be mitzar over the Torah Akdosha. Otherwise, you don't know its true value. The minig is to lay Rus on the second day of Shavuos. Ice cut and Yud Ches. The Ramah said that we say Shir Shirim on Shabbos Chol HaMoed, Shabbos Chol HaMoed, Mibnei Shapiyutim Shaloi Se Shabbos Miyusadim Al Shir Shirim V'Chanal. Ice cut and Yud Ches Ve'am Nagu. The minig is not to make a bracha. The Ramah said you don't make a bracha either of Al Mikra Megillah or Al Mikra Kesuvim. You don't make any bracha on the laning of the Megillas, only on Megillas Esther. Says the Mishnah Berurah, V'chein Hiskim Hataz, the Taz is in agreement with this ruling. However, Magen Avram Hiskim, the Magen Avram rules, Imaisan HaPaiskim, with those Paiskim, Hamatzrichim Levarech Al Kula Mechutz Mekaheles, who say that you make a bracha on the laning of every Megillah with the exception of Keheles. So that means you make a bracha on Shir Shirim, you make a bracha on Rus, you make a bracha on Eicha. The only one you don't make a bracha on is Keheles. Why would you not make a bracha on Keheles? One reason that's brought down is because it says that the Chachamim thought about being Gainas Sefer Keheles. They thought about hiding it. In the end, they didn't. But because they thought about hiding it, so that's a reason why we don't make a bracha over it. Another reason why it's brought down that we don't make a bracha on these Megillas is because the minig to lane these Megillas, none of these are brought down in Shas. Nowhere in Shas does it say to lane Keheles and Sukkot. Nowhere in Shas does it say to lane Shir Shirim on Pesach. So since these are not mentioned in Shas, so they're only a minig. If they're only a minig, how can we say Asher Kedishanu b'mitzvayis v'tzivanu? We can't say v'tzivanu. We're not commanded. So therefore, we can't make a bracha. V'hagra b'Berurah, however, the Gra Kasav, the Gra writes, Da'af al Keheles yesh levarich. The Gra said you should even make a bracha on Keheles. V'lachein, and therefore, Hanoig levarich, if somebody has the minig to make a bracha, al kalpanim k'zuvim al klaf, is certainly if the Megillah is written properly on a klaf, b'vaday ein limchais b'yadai, you certainly cannot be moicha that he's making a bracha. Yom Tov shechal b'Shabbos, when Yom Tov falls out on Shabbos, Aimrim b'mincha v'anis v'ilasi, v'kairin b'seder ha-shavua, by mincha. Okay, thank you so much for joining me for limud HaTorah. The schos of limud HaTorah should stand Gans Klal Yisrael in good stead. The Rabban Shalom should send Yeshuas, Refuas, and Parnasa to all those in need. The Rabban Shalom should be Megan Gans Klal Yisrael. We should be Zaycha for the Bias Girl Tzedek b'Meher v'Yameinu. Be well.